Hi, I'm Matt with ApplianceVideo.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at the key switch assembly, also known as a touchpad, on this Whirlpool freestanding ice maker. Stop. Before beginning any repair, always be sure to disconnect the power to the appliance. It is also recommended to test the outlet for proper voltage. Remember to also turn off the water. You will need the following tools before you begin this repair: a painter's tool, a 1/4-inch nut driver, and a heat gun. If you have a defective key switch, typically what will happen is one or all of the buttons will not be responsive. You'll go to press them and nothing will happen basically. If you do have a couple of the keys that are lit up and there's only one that's just not responding for you, it's a pretty good indication that you've got a shorted key. To begin the repair, we're just going to go ahead and open it up. Now we've removed the ice bin door just for video purposes, but the next step we're going to take here is removing the 2 1/4-inch screws for the cutting grid cover. Then you can just go ahead and grab the cover and pull it off. To remove the cutting grid, we're going to first disconnect the Molex connector here. And then we're going to remove the 2 1/4-inch screws that are holding the bracket in place. Now with the screws removed, you can just go ahead and slide the grid right out. Just want to be careful that you're not going to catch on your bin thermostat wiring that's on the side of the cabinet here. Once your cutting grid is removed, you can now drop down the control panel assembly. First thing we're going to do is disconnect our 2 Molex connectors, one for your bin thermistor and the one for your evaporator thermistor. And now we've got 4 1/4-inch screws that we're going to remove to drop the control panel down. Once the 4 screws are removed, you want to make sure you're holding on to the control panel assembly because the transformer is very heavy. There's a lot of weight here, more than you would think. And you can kind of just roll this down. That gives you access to all your components inside. You got your main control board and your transformer, your light switch, and your overlay. To replace either your push button assembly or your plunger switch, the overlay actually has to be removed. So when you're replacing either the switches or the plunger switch, you would have to order a new overlay. So to remove the overlay, what we're gonna do is use a heat gun. Just heat the glue up. You don't want to put too much heat on it, but just enough to get it pretty warm. Flip the control assembly down and start at a bottom corner. I'm just going to use a putty knife here. Once you get it started, just go ahead and start peeling it off. Now you can go ahead and discard your old overlay. Now we're going to go ahead and disconnect the harness for the push button assembly. Now you can just go from the inside and pop the push button assembly out. And it's not going to come with this harness here, so you are going to have to swap that over. Okay, now you're going to just go ahead and remove your harness from your ribbon cable here on the old push button assembly. And you're going to transfer this over to the new one. Now we're just going to transfer the connector over to our new push button assembly. And now we're going to go ahead and install it. Now we're going to go ahead and take the push button assembly, put your ribbon cable through. Make sure your ribbon cable is on the left hand side. Just push it up. Drop it into place. It will kind of just stick there. All right, now you're going to go ahead and roll it down. And we're going to reconnect your Molex. And now we can install our new overlay. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start a screw up through the back. Once you have that one in, going to go to your front corner here. We'll get the other back screw. Go ahead and install your final screw. And now we're ready to install our new overlay. Now we're ready to install the overlay. Our old overlay was not damaged upon removal using the heat gun, so we are just going to basically go ahead and reinstall the old overlay. Just basically going to be pushing it through. And pressing it down in place. Make sure you don't have any bubbles or anything on there. And just go ahead and kind of push your buttons, make sure everything's lined up. You can feel the keypad getting depressed when you're pushing on the buttons. Now we're ready to hook up our thermistor wires and reinstall our cutting grid. Next, we'll reinstall the cutting grid. Gonna basically put it up in the track. You wanna just be careful of your bin thermistor harness and the evaporator thermistor harness. You wanna make sure that it's not gonna catch on either of those. Slide it up in there. And we can go ahead and install the connector. And we're going to go ahead and put our 2 1/4-inch screws in on each side. Now we can go ahead and reinstall the grid cutter cover. Now we can go ahead and reinstall our cutting grid cover. Just want to make sure that your wire here doesn't get pinched. And that will complete the repair on the Whirlpool freestanding ice maker. Thank you for watching another quality video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com.